All right, welcome back to Central Valley Talk. Yeah, you caught me doing my notes here. All right, Dr. Mikell Parsons, my next guest from Natural Path Health Centers of Fresno. How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm awesome, too.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Totally cool.
It's the word of the day. Natural Path, what's that all about?
Well, I have my foundational training as a doctor of chiropractic, but I specialize in holistic medicine and brain health. So it's the natural way to achieve amazing, awesome health versus drugs, surgeries, other interventions that don't necessarily fix the problem.
I'm a little confused. I think chiropractic bones, but you're talking about brains.
Yes.
Yeah. How'd you make that transition?
Actually,
this all ties together, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, every time you're touched or any movement or anything, that's all brain-based. So just looking at chiropractic, everything that we do sends information up into the brain. So chiropractic is very in tune with the brain, but I've taken it to the next level because of some health challenges that I had. So because of that, I had several miscarriages close together, and it just spun my health out of control. And I really lost my memory. I was falling asleep during the day. I was struggling. I was forcing myself through the day, and I'm normally a let's get going kind of gal, and I lost the quality of my life. And in my quest to see what do I need to do to get this back into balance, because there's not a drug that's safe.
Right.
That's prescription.
Correct. I know what
without
you
the
mean.
side effects that's going to zip you up. And I knew that the answer for me was to do something to get my brain back into balance so I can get back on track with making my own energy, having a good memory, enjoying the quality of my life because I felt good.
Well, you look like you're back on track now.
I totally am.
Yeah. Did this machine have anything to do with it? What did you bring in today?
This particular machine did not. The training that I do in office, that's what I use to get myself back. And then, as I'm literally packing it up, I had maybe someone else can benefit. And I challenged God and said, okay, if I'm supposed to do this with other people, then you need to send me into head trauma cases, which I never get. That's not my niche. And within that week, I had 2. So this was about 10 years ago.
That was a sign.
It was a total sign. And part of me was like, yay, and the other part's like, oh, man, how am I going to do this now with how my practice runs? So it was a learning curve for me. I had to train my team. But the people that I've been able to serve and get back into balance, oh, my gosh, it's life-changing. It changes the family dynamics. It saves relationships. It's something that's so simple and easy to do. And the cool thing is we now have the ability to do a modified version of this training at home. And that's what this is.
Okay.
And just for the official record, we're the first in the Valley. No one else has this in the Valley.
Clear mind focus.
Clear mind focus. So what this does is, for example, as a business owner, many adults have ADHD. They have a hard time focusing on the one task and following it through to completion. We tend to have a lot of windows in our mind open, constantly running.
Because the phone's ringing and you get an instant
Exactly,
message
we're
and
juggling.
Facebook. And
But our business is only as good as our brain can make decisions and the speed and accuracy that we do that in. Now, we can do this with kids as well, but if mom or dad has ADHD, and especially if they're running a business or they're trying to run the household and they can't stay on task, they're going to be forgetting things, there's frustration, there's, oh, I forgot to do that. If they're dealing with a child with ADHD, beginning of school, they're starting to get pounded with homework, they can't sit down to focus to get it done. Then we have the meltdowns, the crying, do we discipline, do we need to drug them up into submission, what do we need to do? So this unit is designed to take it home, and I would determine what would be the settings. So essentially what's happening is, I don't know if you can see this well, but there's flashing lights that I set at the frequency or the speed that we want the brain to work at. So the lights act as a coach. No, not at all. We would never hurt you on air. So those lights are coaching your brain into working at that frequency. Now at the same
You're
time,
getting sleepy.
see how cool he is? You would be listening to
music too?
Well, it's not music, this part. It's tones that are helping the brain through vision and through hearing to get re-regulated. Now, what really rocks, because, we have to keep the kids, with their music and everything and allowing them and encouraging them to be focused, is you can plug into an iPad, iPod, or what some college students do, they'll use this while they're doing their homework or as a business. If I know I need to pound out some work, but my brain's a little tired, there's a frequency that I could set for this, so I could work with this to get laser sharp focus. So the alternative, if someone is diagnosed with ADHD, is to either just suffer through it at the cost of the family dynamics, because there's always going to be problems, or drug them up. And if you ever looked at the side effects of some of these medications that they use for ADHD, suicide is right there.
Up on the list, yeah.
Yeah, so I've never met a parent that say, oh, sign me up because I want to increase the risk of my child committing suicide.
Now, I'm sure there are people that are going to say, little flashing lights, how can that make a positive change in someone? In
Correct.
combination with the tones.
Correct. And that's because they haven't studied biofeedback. So on the outside, this looks like a cool toy, but we know when it comes to brain, I'm going to turn these down. When it comes to brain, 70% of information comes in through our visual centers. We're looking at depth and movement and speed of movement, where my body is in relation to this microphone so I don't hit it. There's a lot of information that happens as soon as we open up our eyes. 30% of information comes in through hearing. That's a fact. It's been well studied. We know that. We use those systems all the time. You're doing it right now. You're looking at me and you're listening, hopefully. Yes? Okay. So good.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, exactly. And while you're sitting here, you're making a lot of different brain waves. Those brain waves direct the body to either jump up because you spilt your water and it's heading toward your lap, or that you are hearing someone saying, my day was fine, but you heard the tone in their voice, their day wasn't fine. So our brain waves direct the brain, okay, is it time to wake up? Is it time to go to sleep? If we're stuck in an aberrant pattern, let's say we're making a lot of delta during the day, delta is the brainwave that we should make in the most quantity at night when we're sleeping. But if we're making it during the day, you're going to be tired. You're going to be forcing yourself to keep going. As soon as you sit in a chair and relax, you're dozing off, you're taking a lot of cat naps. You can't ever get rejuvenated because you're making the wrong pattern of brainwaves during the day. Someone who's making too much theta, those are the people who during the day, you're like, I don't understand how they even made that decision. It's not logical because it was based on emotion. Theta is the brainwave we make as we're starting to fall asleep. So we're not asleep, we're not awake, we're kind of tripping out. Or when we're starting to wake up in that same state. But if we're driven by too much theta during the day, I wouldn't want them as an employee, for one, because they aren't going to make logical decisions. Nor would I never want to be married to one because they are all emotion-based. Very challenging to work with someone who's living with a lot of theta in their brain. With ADHD, their brain is way too fast. All over the place.
I know people like that, yeah.
Squirrel. So this, depending upon what the issue is, helps the brain get back into regulation the way it was designed to work.
How quickly will you notice a difference?
Well, the cool thing with the take-home unit is, like anything else, if you wanted to suddenly get massive biceps, you wouldn't go to the gym just once a week and expect you're going to have huge, massive biceps.
Well, I would expect it, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. So with this, the more frequently you train, it's like any other area of your body. The more frequently you train, the more ingrained that training gets, the better and faster the balance gets restored. So it kind of depends on how often you are able to use it.
So we're talking weeks, months before you see a result? Or?
I just sent one of these units home with a patient, and we called her 3 days later, and she said that her clarity has already improved. And she'd only used it 10 minutes twice a day for 3 days. So it can get the brain re-regulated fairly quickly.
So you don't use this while you're working on something?
You can if you wanted to.
Really?
Yeah, you can if you wanted to. And in fact, with a lot of kids with ADHD or ADD, their brain runs too slow. Doing this when they're using or doing their homework will help them. They'll be able to focus more. They'll be able to remember more. It'll be an easier sense of that time. You know, just trying to get a hyperactive kid to sit down.
Sure.
You have to strap them down, and they're going to be having a fit. Sure. This allows them the opportunity to get their brain back into balance so they can remember and learn and retain.
Does insurance cover this?
Of course not.
Of course not.
Of course not. Unfortunately, it doesn't.
Is it expensive?
I would say no. You know, I had 10
Weighed
years
against
ago.
what you're getting.
Yeah, 10 years ago, for me to start this whole process, I paid $2,500 for a brain map. Had to drive 5 hours to get it. And now I'm able to do brain maps in my office for $300. Huge price difference. Technology is advanced. So I would have spent a lot more than that just to get started. In fact, I spent a lot more than that because I'd invested in the equipment. But to get my life back, to get my brain back, to feel amazing again, you know, I was in my 40s at the time and thinking, is this all I have left? That was not it was a very grim outlook for me.
Yeah. All right, you have an event coming up on the 25th when folks
do.
can learn more about all of this.
Yes.
Quickly tell everybody.
So I want to get the word out because it's just really disheartens me to see a lot of families suffering, to see a lot of people struggling in their business or in their lives. So I'm doing a free call on Free My Brain from ADHD. And on that call, we're going to talk about the 5 key things that the brain needs to start to get back into balance. These are not negotiable. These are what the brain has to have. And it's going to be on the 25th at 6 o'clock. Doesn't matter where you're at in the country. You can call in or you can go in through your computer. So all you need to do is call our office and we'll get your email and get the information emailed to you.
Okay, so 6 p.m. on the 25th.
6 p.m. Pacific.
If you're interested in more about Natural Path Health Centers of Fresno. Dr. Parsons, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Interesting. I liked wearing the glasses. That was an interesting experience.
It's pretty cool, huh?
All right, it was pretty cool.
He's going to focus more now.
I hope so. All right, we'll be back with more on, where are we? Oh, Central Valley Talk.